the election could eventually land in the laps of the Congress, in which case he would have an advantage to win.
We have an advantage if we go back to Congress. Does everyone understand that? I'm sure they're trying to figure out how can we break that one.
At the time, House Speaker Nancy Pelosi was also warning Democrats to prepare for the possibility, writing in a letter that if Trump can't win at the ballot box, he wants the House to deliver him the presidency. So how could Trump win the election through Congress? Paul Engel is a speaker and author of the book The Constitution Study. He explains how things could play out.
So technically, we have not had an election for president yet. All we've had is an election for electors.
The electors will cast their votes that decides the presidency on December the 14th. But things get complicated when more allegations of vote fraud emerging, leaving several states still lingering in disputes.
And there are deadlines by which the state must appoint its electors and must get those certificates into Congress to be counted. Now, one of the things that could happen, and it's allowed by federal law, is if the election is still in limbo, a state legislature can say, okay, this election's a mess. We are going to assume our responsibility and we are going to appoint electors. State legislatures have final authority on who those electors are that then go and vote.
In multiple states where most media outlets have called for a narrow win for Biden, the state legislature are controlled by Republicans. That includes Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Arizona, and Georgia. In this case, Congress will have to decide whether to count those votes. If not, the situation could happen where neither candidates get the 270 electoral votes to be president.
Even if one of the other candidates gets a plurality, not a majority, then the presidential decision goes to the House and the vice president goes to the Senate. But here's the next interesting twist. When the House votes for president, it is not by House member, it is by state delegation. In other words, each state gets one and only one vote for president.
That means California or New York will get one vote, as would Wyoming. The GOP now has unified control in 24 states, meaning both the state legislature and the governors are Republicans. That's compared to 15 controlled by Democrats. The rest of the states are split. But even if the Republicans with their state legislature majority confirmed Trump as the president, there could be strong backlash.
And because most Americans know so little about the Constitution and have been so brainwashed about the process of electing the president, they're going to see this as shenanigans. Even though you're actually following what the Constitution and the law says, we so misunderstand it. They're going to see this as attempting to steal an election, even though you're following the actual rules of the election.
He said it eventually comes down to the American people.
These issues, these counting issues, these irregularities are not new. There was ample evidence of fraud and abuse before Election Day. And the people we hired to oversee this did little, if anything, about it. That's the part that bothers me. This election is a mess because we, the people, have allowed ignorance, reckless, and corruption in all levels of government of our country. And until we demand that they be honest, brave, and pure, we will continue to get this type of shenanigans over and over.
With many voters coming out and saying that poll workers made them use Sharpies, even though the pen bled through the paper. Election officials in Arizona's Maricopa County, however, have denied the claim that Sharpies invalidate votes.
At a press briefing in Capitol Hill, House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy gave comments celebrating the Republican Party's victory in the 2020 House elections. He also went into why he thinks the Trump campaign's legal challenges against alleged voter fraud will ensure the election process can be trusted.
Republican Representative and House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy made a public announcement for the first time since Election Day on Thursday. He listed instances of when Democrats and certain media outlets predicted Republicans would win very few races. In the 2020 House races, Republicans flipped a net 5 seats and are projected to beat at least 7 Democrats. McCarthy said the American people chose freedom over socialism when they voted red.
It was a mandate against socialism. It was a mandate against defunding the police. It was a mandate against wasting a majority that the Democrats have done for the last Congress.
He also said that the Party of the American Worker is now the Republican Party.
Our members made a commitment to America, that they would restore our way of life, rebuild our economy, and renew the American dream.
According to the Labor Department, the U.S. economy gained over 600,000 jobs in October, and the unemployment rate fell from 7.9% to 6.9%. McCarthy said that like the American workforce, Republican members plan to show up to work, but he said Democrats are not.
We believe Congress is essential. We believe you just spent some millions of dollars saying you'll be the voice for all of you in your district. You should show up and be that voice.
A recent call in Alaska gave Republicans their 50th Senate seat. Based on that, the GOP needs to win just one of two Georgia runoff races to hold their majority. Don Tran, NTD News.
How do European allies see the U.S. presidential election? One French parliamentarian shared his concerns over possible ties between Biden and the Chinese Communist Party. He said that could have a huge impact on relations among the U.S., Europe, and China. Our France correspondent David Vivez brings us more.
The outcome of the U.S. election of a new president, including the legal issues filed by Trump's team, is likely to have an impact in Europe. In France, Emmanuel Macron congratulated Biden, but some experts show concerns over what could happen if the Democratic candidate were to be elected. Jérôme Rivière is a member of the European Parliament from France who currently resides in the U.S. He says he's pained to see American media declaring Biden president without any legal ground.
United States is a great nation, was also the cradle of democracy in our civilization. I'm so pained to see what's happening with the fraud.
The Chinese Communist Party congratulated Biden today. Rivière alleges there are heavy suspicions over corruption between the Democratic Party and the CCP. He referred to a 2014 Wall Street Journal article that alleged Hunter Biden's fundraising agency Rosemont Seneca Partners received over $1 billion from the Bohai Industrial Group investors, whose main owner is the Bank of China.
There's absolutely no way Mr. Hunter Biden could get that amount of money out of his own experience or talents. The only reason I see is that he was the son of Joe Biden when Biden was Vice President of the United States. You can only guess there's corruption behind, may it be on the sale of intelligence secret or financial interests.
Rivière said there's more to understand and investigate on the relationship between the Obama presidency and the CCP.
You know, there were private meetings at the White House between Obama, Biden, and CCP head members. And those meetings were not registered in the President of the United States agenda.